Hello, my people, my YouTubers. Good day, good morning, good afternoon. Today, I want to talk about the topic of land reform in South Africa. Is it necessary for it to be done? For example, those who own land are worried that the government will take the land from them. And then those who don't have land, they are anxious to get what was taken from their grandparents, ancestors. We know this thing of our land. Okay, first things first. It's history that there were forced removals in South Africa. And then the majority of people that were affected from those forced removals were black people. When I say black people, I'm talking about Africans. I don't care African what, but as long as African, like Africans, indigenous Africans, were removed from many places. And then also we know in history some say at that time some white people signed contracts with the locals to get a piece of land. I will not say it's true or it's not true, but when we ask ourselves, should we maintain the status quo where 70% of arable land is in the hands of minority, where the African majority does not have land? How will this affect us if we continue this way? If we continue to allow land to be only with the white minority, here is a problem. That means of production will always be in the hands of white. I understand me say it means that if we allow the status quo so that no land expropriation is going to happen, it means that white people, the white minority, will continue to have access to land where they can do all sorts of things. And then the black majority will continue to be concentrated in without land in small spaces, where you will find maybe someone call a place home, a 3x3 meter house, and then they call that a home where they take a bath there, they live with the kids, they make sex when the kids are asleep. So it will continue living in a congested space. So is it necessary that the system would dismantle it? For many African black people will say, we want the land. And then those who have lots of land, the white majority, they will feel threatened that no, I'm losing a lot of land. I think the approach that we should use, the government do, we know the willing buyer and the willing seller, it has failed. And then even the other people that maybe, let's say, there are those who got farms under the ANC and then couldn't run those farms. And even worse part, the ANC sometimes maybe ANC did not even train those skills. If we want to do a land reform, maybe for farming, if we want to build a developed estate somewhere, we should do this thing of land expropriation. And then for many people, I know it comes to this point, no, I bought this land, or I inherited this land. It could happen that the land that you bought, there were people that were living there. For example, a well-known story is a District 6 in Cape Town. That is why District 6 were people that came from Mitchell's Plain, people that now are living in Mitchell's Plain, Kukuletu, Khayelitsha. Most of those people were forced removals from District 6. Now in District 6, there are new owners who bought the land. Let's say if the government is going to take a home like that from those who bought the land, then if they can show we actually worked for this land, I did not inherit this land from my grandmother or my what, then there a compensation can be done. But for those where we can check, okay, yes, okay, you grew up in this farm, that was your father's farm. How did your father acquire this farm, or your grandparents, or how did they get this farm? Or how did the people that moved from district cities that were pushed to Khayelitsha, Mitchell's Plain, it did not only happen in Western Cape, in Cape Town. There are so many places where people were forced removed. So we need to do the land expropriation. But when we do that, it must be for a benefit of us all. For example, we cannot say, okay, let's say there is one white farmer there who's got a farm, and then we take this farm from him. We give it to a black man who's not willing to learn how to run a farm. And remember, even if someone can be willing to run a farm, or you need a proper experience how to run it, official government there must provide subsidy. That is it need to be a continuous funding for that person who received the farm, not just to give me a farm and then go and government move back, because sometimes the farm can be complicated to run, or maybe even the current owners, if they know they're going to lose the farm, they can poison the land with chemicals, such that in that piece of land nothing grows for many years. So we need to work around those things. And then now, let's say we can also look at the case for people that own land that are no longer in South Africa. You may say we call them investors. I don't know what you can call them, but if we find there's a farm there, nothing is done in that farm, or there's a piece of land there that is not being used, the person is actually living overseas, then we can't be congested in a small place in a house of a 3x3. Meanwhile, there is a piece of land there that could be developed into a proper housing or whatever that the community needs. We cannot continue with the white minority owning 70% of the land. Land distribution is something that should happen, because if we let this thing again, that means 30 years later they will still be talking about this, or even a war could start, because there is no space. If you try to buy a house in Cape Town, you can't fucking afford it. Now we are pushed to go and to find new land dwellers to any space where they say, okay, now let's put a house there and then we stay. The government needs to be actively involved, and discussions have already been done, and this bill, I don't know, but expropriation, I do support it. But the only thing that many people are confused about this expropriation, it's how it's going to be done and how it will affect people's lives. For example, if you are someone who owns 50 farms, you gotta give up some. Let's say you have 50 farms. You're not using maybe all of those farms. I understand me say, no, when I do farming, I farm here and then I let the land rest for the next 5 years or for the next 10 years. No. That's not good. If that land, there's someone who's got an idea to say, no, okay, since you have 50 farms and then you are not using this 10, you're planning to use maybe after 10 years again, when the land when the soil is matured again, is right. Say, no, give away these farms so we can develop an industry there to do whatever that the person needs. Given also that industry is not going to affect the life of, it's not going to affect ecosystem, the organisms there. Because, for example, let's say if now you put a company for chemicals and then makes all the smokes and then it affects the food supply, we might suffer. So it's a disadvantage in a case like that. If someone has got like 50 farms or 200 farms, you have to give up the farms that you don't use. Or even if you use all of them, we have to share. Because if you don't share, it will continue to create unequal society. We will continue to be congested in Khayelitsha, in Mitchell's Plain. And then what's going to happen when we congested? That means we're not going to have food. We'll depend to white people to go find jobs, to do farming. We'll still depend on them. And then that will put pressure again
to the people in Khayelitsha, in Mitchell's Plain, Gugulethu, as there's already high crime. Because when there's less resources, we'll start to compete amongst each other.